So now that we've gone through the training, let's talk about certain materials and how speeds and powers affect those materials. So the most popular one, wood. Wood looks better when you have an offset. If you're looking for that darker engraving, that offset is 0.125. What it will actually do is widen the beam and allow it to be dark without going depth. Obviously, there's certain reasons you want the depth for, so you can keep that offset off and just run it deeper and it will be dark, but not as dark as you can get. Let's talk about glass. The reason I want to change the color of glass when I'm setting up a Corel Draw, I want to soften that beam as well as having the power to frost it. Because all you're doing is putting tiny little fractures in glass. So you can either make those smooth fractures or rough fractures. Let's talk about acrylic. If I was to run acrylic very slow, I'm going to have a lot of depth, but I'm also going to take away the frosting ability of the cast acrylic. If you try to cut too thick of acrylic, let's say you have a 40-watt machine. If I try to cut more than 1/4 inch in that 40-watt, it creates a very fire hazard environment. So I don't want to do that. I want to keep acrylic going faster on engraving, and then I don't want to get below 8 speed onto acrylic, which is what 1/4 inch on a 40-watt calls for. So let's talk about crystal. Crystal is the same as glass, it's just a much more expensive version of glass. So you would want to run that 40% black, 10 speed, 45 power on crystal. So we have laserable plastics. Laserable plastic, if I want to do a photograph, I'm going to run faster with a lower power. Laserable plastic with text, I'll still be going decently fast, but I want that higher power. So the difference is on a 40-watt, 90 speed, 45 power for pictures. If I want just regular text, then I'm going to run 90 speed, 55 to 60 power. That way I get the depth that I need. Anodized aluminum, it doesn't matter if you're doing a photograph or a text, you can run those at 90 speed, 35 power no matter what, because it's going to be nice and bright. It's white virtually, or a gray with a CO2. Leather, a photograph onto leather, it requires a higher speed with a lower power, so you'd be within that 90 speed, 35 power range with a photo. But when it comes to engraving, you might want a little bit of depth, so you want to slow it down and raise that power, so maybe 80 and 55 speed. Now DPI also has a role in all of this, so if you're doing a photograph that engraves black, well, you're going to want that 600 DPI on most materials, but on laserable plastic you want it to be run at 300 because it doesn't require all of that. Wood, always 600 when it comes to a photograph. If you're doing regular text, it can be 400 to 500. Acrylic, anywhere from 300 to 400. Laserable plastic, that engraves white, 300 to 400. If it engraves black, it's 300 to 600. Just depends on what you're wanting to do. So all of this comes in time of you learning what the machine does and what different materials do. So my advice is just practice with all these materials. Always bring a little extra. That way you can see what the material is going to do before you actually run your job and see the look that you're wanting.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more Maker Monday videos, check out this playlist. You can also learn more about the JCPL CreatorSpace at www.jesspublib.org/CreatorSpace.